Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. Hi, Shelley. One word, many voices. I'd like to first thank Tom and Maren for asking me to pull this together as an extension of the Portchester Fest. The concept for one word, many voices came up about 3 years ago, as Tom was saying, when I was co-curator working with Celia as the curator for a bilingual poetry reading. Anna was one of our poets. And we had 15 poets in 4 restaurants over a period of 4 hours. It was nuts. It was insane. Insane in a good way. And then the second and third year, we had 15 poets in the same space, which made a lot more sense. We felt that this title made a lot of sense because even though we spoke different languages, our message as poets was basically the same. We wrote about family, we wrote about love for country, we wrote about to protest oppression of selfhood, and of course the universal connector, love. I'm particularly drawn to the Spanish language because of my grandfather, who came to this country from San Andreas, Colombia, South America, in 1919. He was a lover of music. It was he who taught me how to waltz and do the merengue in our kitchen. He was a great cook. That's how he was able to leave San Andreas to become a ship's steward on the yacht of the rich Gringo. And he was the one who brought laughter to our family gatherings because he was a natural storyteller. But he did not allow Spanish to be spoken in our household unless there were relatives visiting from home. So the language was buried from my consciousness, but lived in my soul. I love the sound of almost all languages, but the rhythms and cadences present in the Spanish language are pure music to me, even if I don't know the meaning of the words. My friends, they teach me words and phrases, and I listen carefully when invited to parties where my husband and I are usually the only English-speaking people, and they won't speak English, or they speak English in between the Spanish, and we go, it looks like a tennis match. But we love it anyway. I feel the undertones of understanding. That's one of the reasons I was pleased to have been asked to present a bilingual reading here at Arts Westchester, because I would like everyone to at least try to experience the beauty of the sound of some of the work presented here tonight. Some will be in Spanish, some will be in English, some will be a combination of both. Some pieces, I believe that language and culture connect people. And I hope that tonight we will let the language of words flow over and into you so that you can momentarily glimpse another culture and experience for yourself one word in many voices. The poets who are here tonight, Tom said they have to come from Westchester, which was very different from the Portchester Fest because they were from all over. And so I know all of these women, except for Judith, who was presented to me by one of the poets from the Portchester Fest, Rich Willard. When Rich, he lives in Jersey and he moved further down, he said, you have to get Judith Enhanes. And I said, okay, he said, she's young, she's on, she has the voice. And in the tradition that I was raised in as a writer, you're supposed to hold your hand out to the younger ones coming up and bring them forward. I never thought that I would be standing up here saying I am the elder now, you know, and offering my hand to the younger. And so I met Judith I met her online, I met her on Facebook, and we went to a reading at the Hudson Hudson Valley Writers Center about a month ago. And we hung out, and I've seen her at the new Purchase Writers Center. And so I would like to present Judith and Ellis. Thank you, Mike.
It's working. Hello, everyone. I never actually read in Westchester before. I'm kind of known in the New York City arena of poetry, and I do have a spoken word background as well, and that's part of the reason why I'm not heavily well known in New York City. So I'm honored to finally be around writers who are from Westchester because I've been living here for over 10 years. I'm originally from the Bronx, so it's nice to finally, I guess, cross over, kind of sort of. Right now, I'm actually a creative writing major at Purchase, and it's going pretty well. I'm actually going to share some newer stuff later. I was trying to figure out how to read to you guys tonight, and I think I'm going to read chronologically. So I'm going to read earlier poems and then end with stuff that's later and newer. So I have this chapbook called Here, and basically what it is, why I call it Here is because if you put it together, it's called Heart, and basically all the poems have to do with love. So I thought he and art. Here. So the first poem I'm going to read is actually in your brochure. It's called Running Without Legs, and I'm going to take off. Run without legs, I tried to leave myself wrapped in shouts and screams. Don't want to argue my way out, so I run without legs to a destination of swaying wet trees, pushed by a thunderstorm too loud to care that I am drenched and tired, paled from hard-paced breaths of running without legs. Longing to be a ghost, invisible from the pain I can't stay dry from. Beaten, won't bruise, since I am a rock drowning in the currents of my eyes. Yet I smile throughout the lashes, like a phoenix. I know I'll rise from my ashes. When love scorches my chest up, burning alive a plague older than me, a disease epidemic in my family's names, mixed up by too many last names, not of my father. For running without legs leaves me defenseless to the night. So the next poem I'm going to read is called Deserted. Here it goes. Kisses melt my spine into vanilla rivers. I lay on this bliss sailing. I want the air he holds in the bend of his lips, the tears in his hands, the landscape of his man. He wanders through the cobweb of my heart, stumbles on sticky silence, tongues massage words we haven't said. I want to be stranded on his island and live off his muscle, hide with the spiders just so he can find me. His lap will fish for me, smolder flames for his taste buds, deserted with no eyes to answer to. Look at the different spoken word reading. Usually someone is yelling out like, go ahead, girl. That's right. So speaking of food, I'm going to read this other poem called The Last Supper. And it goes, hold me until there is no space left for thought. Winter is a harsh reminder that home is a long way from me. Come near me, put falling in love on hold. Let's first try to keep out the cold, clear out the old, so leftovers won't spoil us. Nibble the scraps left to us, swallow without question. Pray for no more extra pillows, wrapped up alone, or coughing up a storm only one needs an umbrella from. Let's hibernate our hearts, warm up our raw bodies, boil up the waterbed until we are stewed, simmered down, and eaten, and there is no taste of the Last Supper we thought would be preserved forever. There we go. I'm going to read one more poem from this small collection that I have, and then I'm going to jump into the newer stuff. I'm actually going to read the title piece to this collection. It's called PR or Junior. This was living longer. You could have been my end and beginning of all the sleepless searches for my panties in the morning. As dawn breaks, so does my heart. Wrung out from all the dingy sheets it washed, punishment for starting in the end like dust, dead and blowing whenever husky whispers suck out my soul. Leaving my flesh out to dry in locker room talk, turning lovemaking to back-breaking laughs by tallying up their self-worth times all the pitch-brick rubbers left dead under the bed of my memories. As I lie on top, coughing and crying from a winter plague on my chest, you turn to me and say, you need to find someone who can take care of you. As if those exact words never thought of themselves in the back of my rolling eyes of rivers streaming out the sound of a pierced heart, trying not to die in your secrets again tonight. But my headboard reads like a tombstone while the walls close in like a casket, and you bury me deeper in hate, for it's the only way to keep warm from the needlepoint tongue you drag my bare body to you. And you so comfortably punctured and eyeing that needle, ready to sew me whole, yet there is no thread long enough to piece Yonkers to Norfolk, to Brooklyn, to Winterville, to the Bronx, down to Ounceburg, all the way around the archipelago heart of Box Springs, managing to stay afloat. Despite the many times I had the opportunity to end it all, to dive into my own tears, into pieces in quiet, giving up in the suicide notes, taped to the bridges I keep building for my right self. Smiles shine so bright, blinding the moon out my eyes. No one can see how I drain to keep from drowning except you who came half ashamed, trying to rope the ropes tied from my body to my soul. Islands you want to piece together so I can fall open between the shores of my heart. You want to know if it's all true. Another story passed around like the brew spilled for homage, sopped up by the lips that want to get drunk in the same wetness I keep slipping from. You need to find someone who can take care of you. Those words tossed across a wooden range from unmade sheet secrets heavy enough to break the waterfall. I flip my pillow to the dry side, pull over the weighted blanket until it's made clear enough to remember to say nothing. You could have been my end in the beginning of all the sleepless searches for my panties as they set heart bonds, but I keep silent, for you were the first bridge I built and crossed alone. Old. Actually, a lot of those poems are, I would say 7 years old. It took me a little while to put them all together and kind of publish them on my own. I actually have my own press that I started. So far, I've published, I believe, 5 writers through chapbooks. It's hard to find an outlet for us sometimes as poets and as women. All the poets so far are women. That's not on purpose. It's just been accidental. So this newer piece I actually wrote in a workshop with Rich Villard. It was an assignment a prompt that I came up with and put into the class because that was our assignment. And it's broken up into 5 stanzas with 5 lines each, and you're supposed to write your life how you see it at 5, at 10, at 15, at 20, and 25. So this poem is entitled Underground Sunshine, and how I came up with that title is because underground sunshine is usually known to as coal. So it's called Underground Sunshine. At 5, her eyes were dark holes, her tongue a buried casket. She was empty inside, thin, with no filling, nothing to embalm. At 10, her eyes were mined, to displace the memories her tongue could not carry. Buried in his dirt, she was brown-skinned, silent. At 15, her eyelashes sealed in darkness. His tongue chokes the sounds for her legs to ajar. Her panties cried, and her knuckles rubbed his tears. At 20, she forgets and blows smoke in the backwoods, where slaves used to grow cotton in shade, lest the sun darken her footstep instead of her doorway.